Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where is Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys, no more fights. And so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight. There's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One
game.
kid had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, I'm going to put an end to this. And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, what in is going on around here? And the kid says, that Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that. So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned the local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Good morning, Rod Squad.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the big game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk show. Coming to you now in front of millions of more homes throughout Canada and 31 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network. Very excited about a Football Friday today for a lot of reasons. We're also on the radio, WQEE in Atlanta. How about this? Write it down, Georgians. The Falcons, as if you don't know, leaders of your division and favored going into this weekend's game. I'm here in South Florida, and joining us from Canada's football capital, where he'll be broadcasting football this weekend, the co-host of the program, Darren Moose Dupont. How you doing, Moose? Happy Friday. And either I'm deaf or we don't have audio from Darren Moose Dupont. Darren, you turned your mic off. That's going to be a problem. So while he does that, I'll tell you coming up on the program today, we've got Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN. We've got Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV. You met her a couple of weeks ago when we were live at Century Downs. And also, what do we got? Andy McNamara, sports betting expert and host. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll get down to business. I'll say this. It's Darren and I were talking about this yesterday when you were in the Eastern time zone where I reside and Darren normally resides. It's a long day sitting around waiting to get on the air, but today's been a very busy day. I had a meeting, Darren, of my club this morning, which was awesome, and I was on the radio in Edmonton, Sports 1440. As of September 5th, they launched Edmonton's newest and latest sports radio station. I was with Kevin Carius and Eddie Steele, and I just want to say this to everybody, all and sundry. If we work together in this business, we can accomplish some great things. And I'm telling everybody to get on board with it. Between Winnipeg Sports Talk, what we're doing at Game Plus, and WQEE, the Barn Burner podcast, Edmonton Sports 1440, the guys out in Vancouver. You get a full day of sports talk and evening leading right into the games. Do you not agree? Like, they let me pump the show on their radio station. I'm pumping 1440 AM Edmonton here now. I'm telling you, it's a dawn of a new era, and if we work together, man, the sky's the limit.
There's enough appetite for sports in this country for everybody to have some success and have another piece of the pie. And you know what? What's so great about it is we're all providing something a little different, right? I mean, from what they're doing at Edmonton is different from the guys in Vancouver out on the coast to, in Calgary, to us, to Winnipeg. And out in Toronto, there's other shows out there, too, in that neck of the woods. So it is great. We do need to work together. That's the only way it's going to work.
I came up through this business 30 years of it before the 5 years in this, of everybody's fighting, everybody's at each other's throats. Why would you help them? They won't help you. That maybe used to be the way. That ain't the way anymore. The EMJ marketing text line's open, 902-518-3033. Shoot us a text right now, 902-518-3033, whatever you'd like to talk about. EMJ Marketing provides the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. Because it is a Football Friday, and again, if you just turn your television, radios on, whatever, Jim Barker will be with us. Next segment, CFL on TSN, 5-time Grey Cup champion. Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV out of New York, New Jersey. She lives in Calgary. Speaking of dawn of a new era of this business. And Andy McNamara, sports betting expert and talk host later on. I'll just say this. It'd be really no hockey the rest of the way. But our poll question, I want to get it out of the way now. I haven't tweeted it yet, and I don't think the boys have put it up on YouTube. They might not even know what it is. But the poll question is for Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Is it on YouTube, Clark? It's the one from the meeting. Is it on YouTube? You do? Okay. Are you following the NHL rookie tournaments this weekend? It's a yes or no. And I'm only going to say yes because I'm going to be at the one in Fort Myers, Florida, for the Panthers, the Lightning, the Hurricanes, and the Predators. But I'm looking forward to that. But I wonder how many people are, Darren, because, listen, over in Winnipeg, I saw 5,000 views for a video of the Jets skating a lap around the ice.
Yeah.
Like, really? Which is fine. That's totally, how much are you? I'm going to guess over 80% of people saying no, they're not. But that's not to say a hell of a lot of people aren't. You know what I mean? What are you voting, yes or no? Are you into NHL rookie tournaments this weekend?
I'm going to vote no. I like it because I'm such a hockey guy too. But it's football season for me. This is like the heart and the meat of the football season. So for me, my attention's on football, not on the rookie tournaments yet. Sorry.
Thanks for the honesty. I'll vote yes because I'm going to be at the NHL Southeast Rookie Showcase, but I could see why people wouldn't be. So anyways, can you hit the horn again, Jordan? Let's go. Football now. Jalen Hurts ran for a pair of touchdowns and threw a 63-yard touchdown pass to Devonta Smith as the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles held off the turnover-prone Minnesota Vikings 34-28 on Thursday Night Football. Jalen shook off a sluggish passing performance in the first half when he connected with Devonta for the scoring strike in the third quarter that made it 27-7. See how I'm on a first-name basis with these guys? This was a bit of a snoozer for me. I went to bed at halftime. Talked to my Vikings fan friend, Jeff, the hotelier to the stars. Jeff, the hotelier. I said, your Vikings going to pull this off? He's like, probably not. He was right. And it wasn't much of a Thursday night game. Looks like it got a little more exciting in the second half. But how much of it did you take in?
Unfortunately, I was traveling last night, so I didn't really get to watch it. But I was following it very closely and then caught all the recaps, watched the extended highlights, that type of thing. Look, it's too bad because this is another one for anybody who's a Kirk Cousins hater and the narrative that he doesn't play well or perform in prime time. Look, he had over 350 yards, almost 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was good. They covered the spread. That doesn't mean much because he still lost the football game, but they didn't lose because of Kirk Cousins. And for Philadelphia, they ran the ball really well, really well. So, again, Philadelphia 2-0. We knew what they were going to be, and Minnesota's still a good football team despite losing last night.
From the audience and regarding the poll question, the Barflies in Winnipeg says you can do both. No, you can't. It's a yes or no question. If you're saying you're going to follow both, then it's a yes. You're following rookie tournament because Carlos in Indianapolis says I'm not paying attention to the NHL rookie camps because I'm not a hockey guy. That's a no, okay? It ain't that hard. So we're going to move to the CFL now because it is a Football Friday and we are the CFL's favorite television show. We're also the CFL's only television show, but don't tell anybody. The Toronto Argonauts are at the doorstep of clinching the CFL's East Division. The 10-1 Argos need a win tonight against the Alouettes in Montreal to take the Eastern crown. Toronto coming off a 39-10 home win over the 6-6 second-place Alouettes just last week and are undefeated against Montreal this year. We've both picked Toronto to win. The question is by just how much. One of my favorite things, as you know, is watching the game notes, reading the game notes. I read them all for the games this weekend. And how about these Argos? Why? I know the answer to the question. Why do I ask questions I already know the answers to? Why are the Argos not getting the pub? If they go 11-1 with a win tonight, Darren, it's their best start in 130 years of Argo football. First ever. Ryan Dinwiddie now is in the top 5 winning percentage all time for head coaches. He's, I want to say, 31-15 or something like that. And they haven't allowed a sack in 5 games. It's domination. Why is nobody talking about the Toronto Argonauts?
I know. I guess at the end of the day, not sexy enough, I guess, for the market. That's kind of what I've tried to discern. I mean, they're doing some great things. The game day is awesome. I've been there. The product on the field is as good as it is anywhere across the league. They're dominating, as you mentioned, so they're doing all the things right. They're winning football games, and that's getting its fair share of attention. But I think, just that little, I said sexiness, sex appeal, the reason to get out of bed and get to the field, and I got to watch this team. And maybe they need to go into Hamilton and fly an Argos flag at City Hall and piss everybody off and create a rivalry and a reason to, stir things up. I don't know what it's going to take, but in terms of the football team, there's not much more they can do on the field than what they're doing.
I'm getting a real sense that anybody outside Toronto is getting their fill of Argo talk. Like Jay in Winnipeg writes in and says, when's the Dinwiddie statue unveil? It's right after the Steve Sarkisian statue unveil in Austin, Texas, but that's a matter for another day. Arlen Bruce III writes in, he says, great football morning, RP and Moose. I'm heading to the BC Lions game Saturday night in the Lions alumni suite. I have Sask in the Western Finals. Also, Colorado Buffaloes. Wow. Let's spend a minute on Coach Prime. They're playing Colorado State this week, I believe. And did you not see the head coach of Colorado State came out and said, when I recruit, I'm loosely saying, paraphrasing what he said, when I recruit, I take off my sunglasses and hat in the parents' living room. And people were like, oh, is this a subtle shot at Deion Sanders, their top rival? Well, of course it is. But the one thing that I've realized here, and I don't think Prime cares, there's always, always, always going to be haters. It don't matter what Deion Prime does. He's always going to have haters. I'm always going to have haters. You're always going to have haters. Anybody who's done anything significant in life is going to have haters. So go out and do something significant anyways, because the haters ain't done spit. You're never going to win them over. So when I heard that, I'm like, that's just another jealous coach pissed off that he got his ass kicked in the recruiting game by Prime. So anyways, go Buffaloes. Any thoughts before I move on to the other game on Friday Night Football tonight?
You nailed it. And, Coach Prime is changing the game. And something he puts out on his own social, he said, they're going to hate you if you're not successful and not doing anything. They're going to hate you if you are successful. So you might as well go out and do it and try and accomplish something, because they're going to hate you either way when you're different.
There you go.
You're out. Yeah, he's changing the game, man.
Ding, ding, ding. Saskatchewan Roughriders host the Edmonton Elks at Mosaic Stadium tonight. The Riders coming off that Banjo Bowl blowout loss last week. Meanwhile, I'm reading the Canadian Press story. It says the lowly Elks have won 3 of their last 4, including a 25-23 win over Calgary last week. That's the one thing about those that get sand kicked in their face. Eventually, you're not that puny, pasty-faced nerd on the beach. You go to work to tone up and start doing the pushing around. Does that start tonight for the Edmonton Elks? I don't really think so. Hell of a game, though. We're saying this is Canada's game of the week, and nobody's really arguing that. Riders favored by 3. You and I are both taking the bet. But if that weren't to happen, what do you think it would take for Edmonton to win tonight?
They're going to have to, have a couple of really key plays. And I know that sounds like it might be cliche, but we look at games. you got to be disciplined. You got to control the clock. And you really need to limit the turnovers. But I think for Edmonton, they're going to need a couple big plays. That seems to be, something to ignite this group. Trey Ford started slow last week, but a couple big plays late in that second half, they really got into it. So a timely turnover, to quiet the crowd. Trey Ford making a big play, maybe converting a long second down with his legs. Something like that could really flip the script for Edmonton. For Saskatchewan, I think if they play a calm game, protect the football, they play really well at home, I think they'll be okay. But I'm really looking forward to it tonight.
Let's remember they haven't beaten Edmonton without Trevor Harris. They're 2-0 against Edmonton this year, but they don't have Harris tonight. From the audience, Kevin the Medium says, they only hate you when you're on top. Actually, they hated me when I was on the bottom, too. They've hated me when I was in the middle. I don't care. Robin in Prince Albert says, take a big old drink of haterade. That's Robin from Prince Albert. Leanne in Regina says, why would the Colorado State coach poke the bear when they're playing at Colorado? Asking questions we don't know the answers to. That's a dumb thing for him to say. Moose, we got NFL Deal or No Deal coming up next hour. Hang on, Jeff the Stamps fan says, who should they be cheering for tonight? Elks or Riders? Flip a coin. We have 2 minutes here. How about a Canada West update for our friends from Canada West football? There are 3 games this weekend. Did I write them down? I know I did. Alberta at Sask. About 11,000 last week for the beatdown at Griffith Stadium. Yeah. Calgary at Regina and Manitoba at UBC. What's important about this weekend in Canada West football, Moose?
We're going to find out what the Alberta Golden Bears are all about. They've got a lot of playmakers. Their quarterback, Eli Hetlinger, really good, 380 yards last week with the U Sports Player of the Week. They've got some weapons. They really do. And with Coach Morris there, they always are good along the offensive and defensive lines. They produce a lot of Canadian Football League offensive linemen. But the Huskies are the top team in the conference and one of the top teams in the country. So big test for Alberta to find out what they're really made of. And the game I'll be doing on Saturday, Regina, Calgary, 2 0-2 teams. Somebody needs a win to try and stay alive, but get into that playoff picture for one of the final playoff spots. So that's what's on the line this weekend.
Thank you. I just opened the text line for EMJ Marketing. You might have seen my eyes go. That many. Real quick. Where is it? Patrick writes in. He is in Saskatoon. Hi, Rod. I'd like to hear your thoughts on Kaepernick potentially playing for the New York Jets or any other team. My thoughts? I'll believe it when I see it. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba says, hi, Rod. Riders over the and Moose. Riders over the Elks. Riders need to make a statement game, not mail it in like they did in the Banjo Bowl. From Bomber Boy, watching in Calgary, says the Argos haven't played a winning team in over 3 months. How about that? And there are many more. We'll see you back in hour 2, Moose. For you fans of the other teams, you people cheering for the Bombers or Ticats in the Hall of Fame game, we'll talk about that next with Jim Barker. Also, the Ottawa BC game. NFL talk, Deal or No Deal coming up in hour 2. Some college football talk. That, you know what we do? This on these Football Fridays. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. That's premiersportscardcon.ca. There's a lot of them out there, you collectibles. See you in Red Deer. End of the month. Let's bring in Jim Barker, weekly chat for EMJ Marketing. Hey, Jim, good to see you again. Before we jump to the CFL stuff, viewer asked what we think about Colin Kaepernick going to the Jets. What do you think the chances are of that happening with Aaron Rodgers down?
0 to none. I can't even visualize a guy who hasn't played that long coming back and being able to contribute. And, you know, I mean, even the terminology and things that was used when he was playing is all different. And again, I think it's kind of stranger things have happened, but that one would shock me. I thought they should have gone out with Nathan Rourke. Honestly.
Okay. Can you, well, let's go down that road. How hard or difficult would it have been for them to do that?
You know, my bet is if they would have claimed him, that Jacksonville might have activated him to the 53. I'm not positive of that, but I don't think they would. I think they know what they have. I really do. He's protected in that they can always activate him, and that's what I'm guessing would happen. But again, for the Jets, you know, Rourke is a lot like, you know, the Wilson, and they're similar type size. They're similar arm strengths. They both run well. The offenses would be very transferable between the two. I thought it was that would have been a legitimate thing, but those NFL guys know better. Joe Douglas, he's got it.
I gotcha. Hey,
you know,
the Hall of Fame.
The other thing I thought was interesting, Rod, was the caller from Calgary. He not only needs to be cheering like crazy for the Elks, but he needs tomorrow to be cheering like crazy for the Bombers to blast the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The only two teams that stand in Calgary's way at this point that they don't control is Saskatchewan and Hamilton. They have to be better than one of those two to make the playoffs. And so that's kind of a no-brainer. But I thought it's kind of interesting, having been in Calgary for so long, to the thought that this weekend they have to cheer for the Elks and then turn around the next day and cheer for the Bombers.
Well, you know what? I'm actually glad you brought that up because I spent a lot of the last 2 years in Calgary, made a lot of friends, a lot of great relationships, and now people are asking me, what's wrong with the Stamps? You know they have a great fan base in Calgary, but they're 4-9, and they don't know what to do with themselves, and they want answers, the fans, and I don't really have the answers. What do you think's wrong with the 4-9 Calgary Stampeders?
You know, I never one that uses injuries because everybody has them. And I think they've had a lot of, all their game breakers have been hurt and on and off the roster, and they haven't been able to get in any continuity. I honestly believe the Dave Dickinson move to GM hurt him as a coach. I think he's maybe getting more involved now, but that's tough to do mid-season to all of a sudden now you're going to change gears and get more involved. So I think that had a much bigger effect on that team than anybody's willing to talk about. The collapse against the Elks was epic, and there's no explaining that. I mean, it's impossible to explain. They're doing things they've never done. They're giving up more big plays on special teams than they've ever done. Mark Killam, we hired him back in 2005 from Cochrane High School, and the special teams he didn't start doing special teams till like 2007. He was our strength coach at first, but they've always were solid. And now it's like they can't run a special team without there being a penalty. It seems like every single return there's a penalty. So it's just weird the way the whole thing has come down this year in Calgary. And again, I don't know that you can put your finger on one thing. I think they still have a slew of good players. I think that, like I say, injuries, it's hard to get continuity when you're moving key players in and out. When they lost Malik Henry, that was a big loss for them because he was their big go-to, big play guy. And in this league, you need big plays. You need to be able to make big plays. You cannot count on long drives.
Hey, I love the analysis and I appreciate it. And I've been doing this in my role a long time. When fans come to you with the questions, you got to try and find the answers. And I don't know if I think you look at it from a coach's perspective, but I talked to a coach the other day. Dang, I'd love to name him, but I can't. Former Stamps coach. He's like, it ain't coaching, Rod. They don't have big enough practice rosters. Dave threatened to make changes, but he can't make changes because they don't have players on the practice roster. I'm like, there's that. You know what I mean? Like they're always going to defend the management.
I can tell you who you were talking to. I know.
Yeah, I know. Don't say it. Don't say it. It's a pretty good imitation. Yeah. I talk to him a lot, so I can imitate him well. What are your other thoughts on Week 15 games?
Well, again, I think the games today are the better of the two games. Are the four games this weekend. The Toronto game is intriguing. Montreal just got smashed last week, and physically. And I brought it up on the air. It was the worst linebacking I'd ever seen in the CFL in a long time. They were playing Frederic Chagnon at starting middle linebacker, and they moved Beverette out to Sam linebacker, and playing Bryce Notary, a rookie at will, and they just got run over. So they go out and get Darnell Sankey. They've got Avery Williams back. They're moving Beverette back to will linebacker. They're going to dress Stubblefield to play Sam. So maybe that will help shore it up. But to do that, they have to change their ratio, which means they'll be playing one of either Desjardins at tackle when Jamal Davis is in, or they'll play Uguak on the edge when Sewell plays inside. It's one of those 23 play and that rule because Sewell's been in the league so long. So he's one of those designated veteran guys that can be a Canadian for 23 plays. So, that's what they have to do now. So now their front is affected. Toronto hasn't been sacked since August 9th. no front has gotten to them, and
it's amazing.
That it is pretty amazing. But I think that them making these changes on their defense, they're attacking one thing, but they're weakening another, which is so crucial, which is pass rush. And it's going to be an interesting game. Like I say, their secondary, they've got their only backup in the secondary is Lindley. So if a guy goes down, now Stubblefield's got to move back and play halfback or corner. And he really is I like him as a Sam. He's a bigger guy, but he's not a halfback or corner. But that's the direction there. So I love looking at the rosters and what teams are doing. So it'll be interesting to see what Toronto does, because Toronto's down receivers. Curly Gittins is on the 6th game. He's probably not going to be back for a while. They're missing Cam Phillips. So they're actually dressing another running back, Deonta McMahon, who is, I saw him at the CGS game with Alex Russell. We watched him as he was a great tailback, and that's what he went to training camp as a tailback. But with Ouellette and Harris and Adeboboye and Javon Leake, it's tough to make this team as a tailback. They're going to play him at slot, and he's a dynamic player. He's got great quickness and ability with the ball in his hands. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. But they're down 2 receivers, so it's not like Toronto's coming into this game healthy.
I got one for you. The $64,000 question. Last week, you and I both picked Ottawa to win based on rest. They had 11 days. Hamilton had 3. What happened? Hamilton won. So is the rest thing overstated, or is Ottawa just that bad?
I'm going to say Ottawa's that bad. I really felt like their whole approach to the game was wrong. I mean, you've got a team coming off a 3 days rest, and you're coming off of 2 weeks. You ought to have some kind of no-huddle tempo offense, something to keep them on the field, to at least mentally make them think they're tired. There was not one thing they did to do that. So, like I say, Ottawa's fallen off my list on that game. I just... Again, this week they could lose by 30. I mean, it's. I just lost a lot of. I thought they would come out. This was a huge game for them to keep them involved. They're out now. Their chances of making it they're maybe not mathematically eliminated, but their chances are becoming very slim. So,
hey, you've been in that position before. Go ahead.
No doubt. So
the reason I say that, yeah, go ahead, and then I'll finish up when you're done.
No, you go ahead. Tell me what you're going to say.
Well, just that you've been in that position because you were in the league a long time. They can get a head start on next year now. Some people in that organization will be doing that. That's the benefit, I would think, about being out of it this early.
Well, there's never a benefit to being out of it because guys are going to, I don't know. It's a difficult situation. I don't know how much of a head start. The GM's been there for 2 years. I think if a GM or a head coach was to come in early and going to evaluate and think, then maybe it has some. But when you're out of it, it is difficult. It's difficult to get guys motivated. The whole thing is just difficult. And they go to BC this week, and BC's coming off a bye. And I bet you they hit them with some things that a team coming off of a bye does. I mean, that Ottawa secondary is as bad as any I've seen. They're terrible, and I think it's going to be interesting. But I honestly believe BC could really do some damage to Ottawa. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a heck of a game. The game tonight, the Edmonton Sask game, boy, that's one I want to talk about because that's going to be an interesting game. This is for Edmonton. It's crucial for them to make the playoffs. Just like Calgary, they've lost the tiebreaker already to Saskatchewan, but they have to catch Saskatchewan or Hamilton. Now Hamilton's in a lot of problems because they got Tundi Adeleke. They got their secondaries down. Dylan Wynn's down. Figueroa's not playing. They're moving Revenberg, a great guard, out to tackle where he's an average tackle, and playing Jacob Zod at guard. So they're beat to heck. So maybe that's the team that the crossover can happen with. But for Edmonton, they need to beat Saskatchewan tonight. For Trey Ford, what is he? Is he the guy that throws for 21 yards when I thought Calgary's approach to him was really interesting. They didn't rush. They kind of stayed on the line of scrimmage and said, we're not going to give you run lanes by penetrating and allowing you to slide through. There's no linebackers that can tackle him in the open field. He made Micah Alway look silly. I think between Larry Dean and Micah Tights, I'm not sure they're as athletic as Alway and Cam Judge. And so he's difficult in so many respects that way, but they made him stay there and said, you're going to throw it. Now, we're going to drop sometimes 9 guys, and the windows aren't going to be big, and we're going to break on the ball, but we're all looking at you, and we're going to make you throw it to beat us. Now, he's got Eugene Lewis. That's a huge factor because Eugene Lewis can be covered, and he's still going to come down with the ball. There's not many guys like him in the league. I thought your conversation right before me was really interesting because they do need a couple big plays. They need to make a few big plays. The Saskatchewan front, much better than what they saw in Calgary. I think that front with Lanier and the whole group of them. Robertson's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And Philip Blake is back. He's going to be a backup this week. But he gives them so much flexibility. I thought at the end of the year, he was one of the best tackles in our league. He was playing left tackle for us in Toronto when I was there. And I grew so much respect for him. They could take and play him at either right or left tackle and change the ratio. And now, instead of a young Jackson Ford playing free safety, you move Moncrief back there and you play Revis and Sam. And they become a much better football team. So I thought when Jeremy O'Day went after him, we didn't want to lose him in Toronto. I was there at that point. We didn't want to lose him, but we couldn't afford him. And he deserved the money he got, and we couldn't afford to do that. I thought it was a really shrewd signing by him because of what he can do to the ratio. There's not a whole lot of Canadians in the league that can do what Philip Blake can do. So I think that's huge, him just dressing as a backup this week for what the future, what can happen for the Riders in terms of their team. So, but I love their defensive front. I think their defensive front's going to do a much better job on Kevin Brown. So, I think it's going to be a great game tonight.
I'll leave you with this. Now that you've sniffed out that coach I was talking to, and everybody can guess who it is. I think my imitation's too good. But you said the people that watch this show. You said the people that watch this show. He was watching last week. Remember when we said that Trey Ford was compared to Doug Flutie by Jones? My coach was, Doug, he scrambled to pass. Ford scrambles to run. There's a difference now. And you can
see my biggest thing with Ford is a running quarterback. He's Tracy Ham. He's a running quarterback who's trying to learn to become a passer. He wants to be a passer. Doug, well, again, I was only with him his last year in the CFL, so I saw him at his very best. He was a straight passer who would run if he had to. And there's a huge difference between those two. So,
but they're both in the Hall of Fame. Tracy and Doug are both in the Hall of Fame, so Trey's on the right path.
Tracy deserves it. And Tracy became a passer, and I think that will happen with Trey if the teams are patient with him, just like they had to be with Tracy.
Tracy's a fantastic guy, too. Jim, thanks for this. Have a great broadcast this weekend.
Great. Thanks, Ron.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. We'll be right back with a sports update on the way. Sports Grid's Joe Madden and Andy McNamara, sports betting expert, is like Joe, and a Browns podcast host. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, we're back on the old RP show. Welcome, everybody, on a Football Friday. Bear with me. It's just you and me to the top of the hour. So if you really want to get in with your comments and questions, do it now. That should potentially ruffle some feathers in Calgary, but they probably need to be ruffled. The Stampeders 4-9, asking Jim Barker what is his assessment of what's wrong with the Calgary Stampeders, and he says Dave Dickinson's move to the general manager role has hurt his coaching. So there you go. The Stamps fans want to know. There's one man's opinion, a guy who's been through it and a guy that's been through those offices. Jim Barker spent a lot of years with the Calgary Stampeders. Ted in Red Deer writes in, says, Coach Barker and Rod must see TV. Just need a coffee and then watch and learn.
How
awesome.
about that?
Thank you, Ted. He does all the work, but we know that. Who was it? Somebody wrote in here and said, does Huff, I think it was John Ohm. Says, does Huff still live in Calgary? And Jeff, the Stamps fan, says he lives here, but less, spending more off-season in the States now. I'll tell you what, I feel very grateful to have spent the last 2 summers in Calgary, and even more grateful to have been welcomed into the Stampeders press box. And it's not like I'm telling any tales out of school. Just from what I see in that press box, Huff is very visible. And also being at the Combine in, was it March in Edmonton? It looks like Huff is around as much as he's always been. But I don't know what, I also know that we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't know what goes on over the phone, text and call. Do you know what I mean? Like when the Alouettes there, Bob Wettenhall, the old owner, and when I say old, I mean former owner, but he was also old. Anybody who worked for him or played for him just loved him and thought he walked on water, Bob Wettenhall. When he walked away and turned the team over to his kid, he ran it right into the ground. It was like a boat. You know, the old man captain went under or turned it over to his kid, and he ran it right into the rocks. It happens all the time. And the reason I bring that up is and I'm not comparing Dave Dickinson to Andrew Wettenhall, the kid, but what I am saying to you is, when I was in the CFL, you people now know me well enough that this wouldn't surprise you. When we would come into Montreal with the Rough Riders, I would have all kinds of Alouette staff, their broadcasters, come up to me and just spill their guts on what was going on in their organization. And this was after Bob left, and they were really struggling. That was around the time Johnny Manziel showed up. And I said, well, how actively involved is Andrew Wettenhall around here? And the one guy said, well, we never see him. And I said, well, that could mean two things, but neither one's good. He's either completely absent or he's running the team remotely, which also isn't good if you're going to run the team. Bob Wettenhall, as far as I knew, was around because any CFL coaches told me that Wettenhall was always on the field. He's not with us anymore, is he, Bob Wettenhall? One coach told me a story of Wettenhall was on the field. It was a road game for the Alouettes. They were in Hamilton. And Wettenhall was there with a younger lady on the sidelines, and Bob excused himself because he had to go to the restroom. So that coach turned to the young lady and said, your dad is a fine man. She's like, oh, that's my husband. Pa-dum-pum. You guys awake back there? Wasn't a joke, by the way, just a great story. Let me get into a sports update, and then we can jump back into the football talk. The Toronto Blue Jays begin a 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox tonight at Rogers Center. The Jays fell 9-2 Thursday night to the Texas Rangers, who completed a 4-game sweep. The loss dropped the Blue Jays to a game and a half back of the Seattle Mariners in the race for the third and final American League wildcard berth. The NHL Players Association says its executive director and assistant executive director are in Columbus, Ohio, to investigate reports of Blue Jackets head coach Mike Babcock invading players' privacy. Babcock said Tuesday he had done nothing wrong by asking players to show him family photos from their phones, clarifying he was trying to get to know them. If you haven't heard, ex-NHLer and Spittin' Chicklets podcast host Paul Bissonnette said he was told by an unidentified player that Babcock asked players to see photos on their phones and would then stream them on his television. Babcock and Columbus captain Boone Jenner said in a joint statement released by the Blue Jackets that the report is, quote, a gross misrepresentation of those meetings and extremely offensive, unquote. Now, producer Clark made me aware of a story this morning that Darren Dreger was on a show. Do you know what show it was, Clark? It doesn't really matter, but what's that on? On the radio? Okay, Dreger was on the radio in Toronto this morning saying, based on what he's heard, Mike Babcock's job is now in jeopardy. So it's a Football Friday. I know people are going to want to know my thoughts on that. I guess my point is, if he's guilty of what he's accused of, then he should lose his job. And I will also say I was willing to give Mike Babcock a second chance. But if he's saying here he did nothing wrong, in all those interviews on our show, he never apologized for anything he's done. And I've given him plenty of opportunities. So if he's doing all the same stuff he did in Toronto and got fired for, then he deserves to be fired. But I'm not also saying that Biz is correct. That's what the investigation's for. But if he's found to have done this and violated their privacy, he needs to be fired. How about that? Before camp even begins.
How about that?
Our sports updates are brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. 4 of those sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. 100% viewer takeover. In the next segment, Moose returns in hour 2 along with Joe Madden, the sports betting analyst, Joe, the great gal from Sports Grid TV, and Andy McNamara in hour 2. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, YouTube Live and podcast.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, welcome back, everybody, for what is not overtime, but it's very similar to it. I call it Audience Takeover, and wherever you're watching from today, I wanted to have some fun, but we have fun every day, but even more fun today. We're live right now, I think, on Game Plus TV, WQE Radio, wherever you're watching or listening from right now. Shoot us a text on the EMJ Marketing text line, 902-518-3033. We're now in 4 million homes in Canada. I think that's awesome. On the radio in Atlanta, thanks for making us part of your day. It is a Football Friday, but on the Babcock stuff, and thank you, Clark, for alerting me to it this morning. The Barflies in Winnipeg watching says, I can't see why Columbus would even take Babcock on in the first place. Must want a PR nightmare. I was surprised, but I'm also an advocate of second chances. And if Babs blows it, that's on him. T. Will in Winnipeg says if Babs did actually do that, that's some stunningly, breathtakingly bad judgment on his part. Is he really that self-unaware when he had to know that he was probably on a short leash to begin with? I don't think he thought about that. I don't think he cares. I don't think many of us can get inside Mike Babcock's head. And if you were watching yesterday or the day before when this went down, I said, I've been on teams where this has happened before. I've been on a team where the coach at the front of the bus asked all players to send their phones to the front of the bus. And he put them in a pillowcase. He didn't look at any of them. But this is not just on Mike Babcock. That's just the old hockey way. And by the way, I'm not even saying that's right. There's been a lot of wrong things go on for a long time. But just so you know, it ain't strictly relegated to hockey. Allie in Texas says, always a fun day on the RP show. Thank you, Allie. And Chad Yanchicki in Winnipeg says, 1 week until the WHL season kicks off. Looking forward to some junior hockey again. Go Wheat Kings. Pats are at PA tonight. God's team. To the football. Nelson says, forget teams not being able to make midseason coaching moves. The operations cap has created this culture of coaches wearing multiple hats. Just let your horses run. Don't tie them down. That's what he says, but I don't know what he means by that, but that's fine too. I don't like the cap. By the way, I said this last week, and I'm past people even trying to listen to me. Some will, some won't. But I said last week, if you have questions for Jim Barker, write me ahead of time, because I don't look at the screen when I'm interviewing Jim. It would be disrespectful. So then he gets off the air, and then I see all the questions. So send them in ahead of time. I said it last week. Nobody was listening. I'm used to that. Nelson also says regarding tonight's game, Pete Robertson is going to be hungry coming off the suspended list and will eat Trey Ford alive. Jeff the Stampeders fan responds and says, Nelson, that's tasteless in light of recent events. And I just think that's fantastic that you said that. What? Since the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary came out on Netflix? Brian in Hudson Bay says, I never cared for Jim Barker that much. This is on the EMJ Marketing text line. Until he started coming on your show. Very well spoken and really knows what he's talking about. He might make a great GM. You're joking, right? I think he's done, but you never know. We thought Babcock was done. Lands up in Columbus. Who knows? Moose next hour. We're going to play NFL Deal or No Deal. And Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV, you know where you love her. And Andy McNamara, Browns podcast. Stick around after this brief pause on Game Plus and the Key.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Rod Squad.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the big game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. I was just looking over my shoulder. And I'll tell you why in a second. Welcome to the neighborhood on a football Friday. I hope you're ready for the weekend. We sure are. Whoa. Sorry.
Hi, guys. How are we doing? A little awkward. Rod didn't get to introduce me yet, but his internet connection's a little thrown off. So we're here in the big chair in Regina, Saskatchewan. Are we getting him back in, Clark? Okay. You let me know when he's back in. Welcome to hour 2 of the show. Welcome to hour 2 of the podcast. If you're listening on podcast, this is going to seem really abrupt. Rod entered the show. I'm back. I was back in hour 1. But I'm coming to you from Regina, where I'm here for TV assignment, university football broadcast later today. Let's bring back in Rod. And I was just saying how awkward that might have been for the viewer because you hadn't introed me yet, but you tagged me in and away we go.
Hey, well, I never, I make my apologies for that. I was thinking earlier this morning, I'm like, we've had a fantastic feed all week long. I shouldn't have thought that, I guess. But maybe they heard me talking about that I was looking over my shoulder as we opened hour 2. Because it's a Friday, Moose, I just feel like kicking it off with a sober carpenter. Non-alcoholic craft beer. I mean, what the heck, right? Let's let her rip. Ah. It's funny that you were worried about me drinking this on air. It's a non-alcoholic craft beer. I might as well crack a Diet Coke. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so good. So good when it touches your lips. Let me just say this. We're not going to delve. Well, it's breaking. Is it breaking news? I guess. Darren Dreger saying on radio in Toronto this morning that there's Mike Babcock's job's in jeopardy because of him allegedly asking or telling the players to show them the photos on his phone. So it's a story we're following but not spending a lot of time on here today. But I will say this. Buffalo Bill writes in on the text line 902-518-3033, and he says, are the Flames already on the golf course? Well, no, they were the other day for their annual charity golf course, but they were on the ice Thursday. I think it was Thursday for the first time. And our poll question today is, are you following NHL rookie tournaments this weekend? It's for Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group, driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit Key Auto Group for automotive excellence. I voted yes. I'm following it because I'm going with Serena to Fort Myers, Florida this weekend for the NHL Southeast Rookie Showcase. Predators, Lightning, Panthers, and Hurricanes rookies. So I voted yes, but Darren voted no. And on the poll, I guess that over 80% of people would say no, they're not following it for a couple reasons. One, it's a football crowd in here today. And for two, the hardcore hockey people are into it, but the average people are not into it. And Darren voted no because he's in Regina for Canada West football. That's where his focus is. Now, Joe Madden joining us in segment 2 from Sports Grid, the betting analyst. In segment 3, Andy McNamara is going to join us, the Browns podcast host and betting analyst. But Darren, because you're here, and this is the last time with you today, we're going to play NFL Deal or No Deal right now. We've had a lot of CFL talk so far, but it's week 2 in the National Football League. Are you ready to play NFL Deal or No Deal?
I'm ready. Let's go, baby.
Last night, the Eagles covered, by the way, on Thursday Night Football with their win over the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go the rest of the way. Green Bay Packers at Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 1.5 at Mercedes Stadium. Are you taking the deal or not?
No deal. I liked what Jordan Love did in week 1. I think he'll do it, but the road is a big test.
I'm taking the deal. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills favored by a whopping 8.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal. They'll bounce back, but I think the Vegas Raiders will cover.
Some arguments here. I'm taking the deal because I think the Bills are smarting from Monday Night Football. Road favorites are the Kansas City Chiefs, 3.5 at Jacksonville on Sunday. Deal or no deal?
I'm going to take the deal. A lot of it depends on how healthy Kansas City is, but I'll take it.
It is the home opener for the Jaguars, so I think they're going to win the game outright. Seattle at Detroit. This is the sneaky game of the week. The Lions are favored by 4.5. Battle of unbeaten teams early on. Deal or no deal?
This is a tough one for me. I'd probably stay away from it. I'm going to take the Lions and the point.
Me too. A deal from both of us. Sneaky good game, AFC North. Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals favored by 3.5. Deal or no deal?
Whew. Deal. Bengals need a bounce back.
I'll take it too. The Toilet Bowl. The Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Battle of the AFC South. Texans favored by 1.5. Can both teams lose? Deal or no deal?
No deal. I got the Colts in that one.
No deal. Same for me. Chicago Bears at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks favored by 2.5 with Baker Mayfield at the helm. Deal or no deal?
Baker's rolling. But I'll take the Bears in this one. No deal for me.
It's a deal for me, dog. Your Tennessee Titans are home to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 3 at Nissan Stadium. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I got to take the Titans.
Of course. And I'll take a yes just to go against the grain, that being you. New York Giants still smarting from the whooping the Dallas Cowboys put on them on Sunday Night Football. Visit the Arizona Cardinals. Giants are favored in the desert by 4. Deal or no deal?
Deal, too. I think a big bounce back is in order for the Giants.
Same here. NFC Western Showdown. The San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. Niners favored by 7.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal. The spread's too big for me, even though the 49ers are the best team in football.
No deal. I will take the deal. Did I say the Seahawks were unbeaten? Because they lost to the Rams in an upset last week. Shame on me.
Did lose, yeah.
Yeah, New York Jets at the Dallas Cowboys. It's not a matter of if we win in Dallas, it's by how much. And the spread is 9. Deal or no deal?
New York's defense makes me think about this one a little bit, that they can keep it interesting. But I'll take Dallas and the points. I don't have trust in the Jets' offense.
Washington Commanders at the Denver Broncos. Denver favored by 3.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I like the Commanders.
I'll take the deal. Peyton needs a win, and he'll get it before coming to Miami next week. And speaking of the Finns, they are at New England. Tua is the reigning AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Miami favored by 3 at Foxborough. Deal or no deal?
It's in New England. I kind of think the Patriots should win, but I like this Miami team. I like what's going on in your neighborhood. So I'll take the Dolphins and the point.
We're both taking the deal. And then it's a Monday doubleheader. The New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Saints favored by 3. Deal or no deal?
I've got a deal there. I'll take the Saints.
And me too, unfortunately, for Bryce Young and the Panthers. And then we wind it up with the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. A battle of Browns 1-0, Steelers 0-1. Browns favored by 2.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal, simply because Mike Tomlin's really good in this spot. He'll bounce back. Great coach.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the Steelers to win. So that is deal or no deal, everybody. Go visit betregal.net this weekend. Sign up and get playing. We've got plenty of time here with Moose before he runs and then gets ready for that University broadcast this weekend. Calgary at Regina. That is on Saturday night. The question came up last hour from a viewer in Saskatoon. He wanted to know my thoughts on Colin Kaepernick going to the New York Jets. And my answer was, I'll believe it when I see it. I put it to Jim Barker last hour from the CFL on TSN. He said 0 to no chance of Colin Kaepernick going to the New York Jets. Where do they come up with this stuff, Moose?
I know. I don't know. You know, this is a team that doesn't need distractions. This is a team that's got a championship roster. They don't need an experiment. They need somebody proven. Now you're not gonna bring in somebody that's proven as a champion and is a high-end quarterback. They just don't exist. If they're there, they're on rosters, and teams aren't letting those guys go. But somebody who can just come in and has proven that they can run a simple offense, distribute the ball, keep you in a football game. There's a lot of talent on this team. They don't need to bring in a big personality or somebody who's going to be a distraction. And unfortunately, that's what Kaepernick is, no matter where he ends up.
1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain, where you are. I'm just pointing that out and would encourage anybody to envision a positive ending to whatever struggles that you're facing right now. I'd like to say we're living proof that it works.
How about that?
To the text line, to the bat phone. 902-518-3033 is the text number to reach us at the studio here in South Florida. I will ask those, please don't send us photos. I don't care how smoky it is where you are. Sorry. I know that might sound callous, but at this point I don't care. Which, by the way, we went on the Kyle Brandt thing yesterday. from the NFL Network, how he just ripped the hell out of podcasters. He's not going on podcasts anymore. That clearly is his pet peeve. Here's mine. People, stop sending me stuff in my DMs. Reels, photos, memes. I'm getting 100 a day from people that I don't even know. And part of it is my own fault. You and I have talked about this. I've made myself very accessible over the years to my own peril. Stop sending me stuff in my DMs, please and thank you.
Bingo!
From the others, Bomber Boy, I opened a can of worms here. I said they weren't listening, right? They don't listen. Let's hope they listen now. Bomber Boy writes that he says, I can't wait for the Jets rookie tournament. They have the most talented group out of the 4 teams in Penticton. Thoughts? I love Bomber Boy in Calgary that you're excited, but I'm not. It's a football Friday, and for years and years and years of covering major junior hockey, pro football, yes, we all get geeked up for rookie camp, and we cover it, and then we move on to main camp, and we never think about those rookies again. And 99% of those rookies we never even see again. I couldn't name you 3 guys on the Florida Panthers rookie roster that I'm going to go watch in Estero, Florida this weekend. So just enjoy the hockey. You know what I'm saying, Darren? We all get geeked up, but I'm not getting geeked up. I said last hour, 5,000 people viewed a video of the Jets skating in a circle around the ice. Like, that's cool that you find that cool, but I don't. Not right now. Brian in Hudson Bay on the Babcock stuff writes, and he says, so Rod, just curious, if Babcock admits he did it, the players are saying it was okay and no problem. So if the players have no problem with it, who does and why? Or are these reports about the players being okay with it not accurate? Beware the fake news. That's why both the NHL and the Players Association have gone into Columbus for an investigation. Pre-scheduled meetings they were going to have anyways. All I'm going to say, Brian, in Hudson Bay is that let's just sit back and wait. We've heard Bab's side. We've heard the players' side through Biz. Let's see where it all goes from here. Darren Dreger saying his job's in jeopardy. I don't see Babs getting another chance on this one, though, Darren. I don't. If it was an infringement of the players' privacy, I think he'd be fired. Not joking.
No, I agree, and it is. Look, I want to read you a text that I got from somebody in their 20s, and this is not anything. I'm not opinion.
Make it quick.
It's definitely a weird request on Bab's part, like asking for family photos. It's not his business. Okay, now that's somebody in their 20s. Boone Jenner's 30, and I'm in my 30s. I think I'm on the fringe of that demographic of let's have a visit and get to know each other, and let's do those things, and let's go over for coffee and share photos. Young people, like you found, want to send DMs and memes and stuff and maybe don't want to get to know each other. And they're more like, none of your business. I'm going to do what I want. It's perspective. Boone Jenner doesn't have a problem. Young players might think it's weird. We'll see what comes out of this.
Yeah. Was that guy that texted you, were his initials DK?
No.
T. Will in Winnipeg writes that he says, sucks to be so popular. He's talking about me complaining about people sending me stuff. You don't understand. You've never been in my shoes. It's a large pain in the ass to open up my DMs, not the show, my personal. This is my personal. You want to send stuff to the show? Go ahead. But to have hundreds of messages coming in from people that I don't even know, if you had that happen, you'd be annoyed too, bro. Okay, Moose, you're done. Have a great call on the weekend. Enjoy the football. Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV joins us next. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. As we welcome in Joe Madden, and Joe's Twitter bio is on-air host and analyst at SportsGrid TV. She's no stranger to our audience. She says she's easily distracted by in-game betting, which is cool. Joe, hang on. We just have a question from a viewer here, and I want to address it quickly. It's Larry in Stony Plain, Alberta, and he says, Nathan Rourke to the Jets? Signed Larry in Stony Plain. We addressed it last hour with Jim Barker. I would ask you to go back and look at that. Jim said that if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now. Actually, Joe, that might be a good place to start. How did Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury just change the entire landscape of NFL betting? Forget about, on field, I guess. What did it do to the betting world?
With their odds to win their division to get to the Super Bowl. So you're going to get more value there. One thing about the Jets, though, I don't trust Zach Wilson that much. We saw what he did last season, but he had all that time to work with Aaron Rodgers. And we saw a couple of those passes looking very Aaron Rodgers-ish. out there by Zach Wilson. The one that he threw low to his wide receiver out there because the wide receiver had coverage was exactly like Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know if he had enough time and mentorship to be able to carry this team as deep as I would have thought before. But they're not going off Zach Wilson. They've made it a statement out there. Zach Wilson is our guy and what he was able to do. Now, this team, why I had so much faith in them was their defense, and their defense still showed in that game. They were able to rise above and do what we expected this defense to do. So, big test this week. We'll see if this defense can hold up and give as much effort as they did in week 1.
Dallas Cowboys favored by 9 at Jerry World against the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. By the way, I will tell our audience, if you got questions for Joe, fire them at us now. 902-518-3033 for EMJ Marketing. That's our text line sponsor, or on the streams. But just, Joe, let's just walk it back for a second. And I'm sure you're already looking ahead to this weekend's week 2 and everything else. But what did you think with the Bills favored by 2 on the road at the Jets? You're watching the game, Aaron coming out with a flag, and it only lasts 4 plays. What were you thinking when this was all unfolding?
It was absolutely heartbreaking. And I had a little moment of tears because I really did see that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be back on the field. Everyone's saying Achilles here. I know he wants to come back, but turning 40 this season, I don't know if we see Aaron Rodgers getting back there on the field. And yes, he wants to come back. We all want him to come back and go out of football the way he wants to go out of football. And the Jets organization and him becoming their quarterback was meant to be that out for him. Come here, turn around this Jets team, take them deep into the playoffs. They didn't even have to go to the Super Bowl, and it would have been a win there for Aaron Rodgers. So absolutely heartbreaking. On a money side of things, I was devastated to start because I had the Jets on that money line. We all know they were able to come back and get the win. But right away, I went, Zach Wilson, there's no way this team is going to win this, even if the defense is 100% with Zach Wilson under center. But he did show glimpses in that game. The Bills defense gave him a lot of pressure, and some of these teams won't give him as much pressure. The Cowboys are going to destroy him this weekend, though.
Are you saying they cover the spread of 9?
No, I'm not saying that.
No?
I think we've got a lower scoring game. I think both defenses, but you've got to look at the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, his ability to get those sacks, to put that pressure on Zach Wilson. Poor Zach Wilson. This offensive line already had question marks. He's going to have to scramble out there. I see a lot of that ball being checked down. I see him short passes, a lot of a running game, because otherwise he's going to be destroyed by Micah Parsons. This is a big player running at him, and Zach Wilson won't have enough power in front of him to be able to stop Micah Parsons. So lower scoring one, I think we stay under that number. I think the Jets can do enough defensively to keep this tight, because you've got to look at the defense of the Jets, what they did versus the Buffalo Bills. They're going to come out, and we saw the Cowboys railroad the Giants, yes, but Giants don't have the same defense that they have here. So I think the Jets defense can hold them in this game and cover that spread.
Ryan from upstate New York writes in, he says, despite the loss of Rodgers, I'm proud of the way the Jets fought and scraped to get the win. Yeah, it was, who saw that coming? And of course, they call it complimentary football. They did it on special teams with the touchdown to win the game. But hey, Joe, not so much the serious hardcore questions here betting, but I got to ask you this. Because I follow your stuff, and if you don't, people, you have to go follow her at Joe Madden Sports. That's Joe without the E, Madden Sports. You called the Ravens preseason win streak ending at 24 games in Washington. And for a while that night, it didn't look like it was going to. It went down to the last minute. Can you please tell me, how do you know these things? Or what sort of sense did you have earlier in the day that they weren't going to win that preseason finale?
You know what? All streaks come to an end, and you've got to look at certain situations and how teams are going into things and what the other team has to gain there. Well, Washington had a huge chip on their shoulder. They were all talking about how the Ravens winning in preseason, it means nothing. Well, it just told me this Washington team was coming for blood. They wanted to end the Ravens' win ability in preseason, and that's exactly what they did. So you've got to look at these personal angles and how these teams are preparing and what their motivation is. Well, Washington's motivation was to beat the Ravens because now everyone's going to remember, well, the Ravens went on this huge preseason win streak. Which team broke it? The Washington Commanders. Everyone's going to remember that.
So fascinating how you do this and any betting experts, and Andy McNamara coming up next segment. It'll be a lot of this type of talk. I couldn't do it. The homework I was not a homework guy, Joe. That shouldn't surprise anybody. The homework required to do what you do is unbelievable. Now, so Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in, says, does Joe think Jordan Love is the real deal in Calgary? He's Bomber Boy's in Calgary. He says, do you think Jordan Love is the real deal? He certainly showed it last week in Chicago for the Packers. They're at Atlanta this week. Slim line, 1.5. Falcons favored. What do you expect out of Jordan Love in that division?
I'm not sure exactly what I expect. I did watch him in that game, and he looked phenomenal out there. He has a huge role to fill, filling the shoes of Aaron Rodgers, and I think he hasn't had enough time on that field. I do like him in this matchup coming up, though. I think we can see a good one there, but moving ahead to face stronger teams, that's when I'm going to hold my judgment on him, is when we see him deeper into that. And you've got Andy on next. It's funny, because ask him who Jandy is. Question for you to ask who Jandy is.
I'm guessing it's a combination of you two somehow. Jandy, I will.
It is.
He's a great guy. He's the shining light as well. But, one thing I learned when you were on our show at Century Downs, and then, I've been following your stuff ever since you first came across my radar, but you do a lot of CFL talk, and it's popular. It's getting a lot of views. And the reason I bring that up is I was on the radio in Edmonton this morning, the brand new all-sports radio station, Sports 1440. And they said, you're into betting, we're not. We think it's going to be a Winnipeg-Toronto Grey Cup. Wake us up on Grey Cup Sunday morning so we can watch the game, Winnipeg-Toronto. How do you feel about that comment as somebody who does far more homework than any of us do?
Well, Toronto, I absolutely love what we're seeing out of Toronto. Chad Kelly is phenomenal. If Chad Kelly doesn't stay healthy, this team does not even stand a chance. Toronto will be out of this and they won't be able to win. You can't even take him for a touchdown without laying like minus 200 juice because Chad Kelly is such a dual threat quarterback. Looking at Winnipeg, I do like what we've seen out of Winnipeg facing Montreal. We got Zach Collaros coming out this week. I think Winnipeg is a strong team. They're able to move that ball down the field. Their defense is strong. But I don't know if you can count out the BC Lions at this point. And yes, the BC Lions have gone over these last 3, 4, 5 games, and they've been struggling out there. But their quarterback, Vernon Adams Jr., is just so phenomenally strong that I struggle not to see them fighting to get into the Grey Cup this season. And I do think they probably can. Now, who would that be over? Well, if I had to pick out of the 3 teams, I think it'd be Toronto and BC.
Well, so you're not necessarily ready to pencil in a Toronto-Winnipeg Grey Cup for a second consecutive year. That's the sense that I'm getting from you?
No, I'm not. So I just don't see it happening. I just look at Winnipeg, and yes, they're very strong out there, but the BC Lions are fighters and they're scrappy. And with them going on this losing streak, we know teams go on these streaks where they're not able to cover the spread. They struggle to get these wins, and then they bounce back and they come back even harder. I think Toronto hit it at a right time. The BC Lions hit it at a right time, and they're going to through this and make those adjustments. And I think they're going to be on fire for the rest of the season going into the playoff.
How much time are you spending on NHL these days?
Oh, not too much on NHL. Just starting to look at those win totals coming up for the future bets, getting those out there, looking at these teams. So heavy right now on college football, on CFL and NFL, and of course, baseball. Baseball, stabbed me in the eye right now, especially if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan. Like I am, this team absolutely breaking my heart. So betting against them today versus the Red Sox. But otherwise, yeah. Starting to get into the NHL, can hardly wait for the season. I think the team that's going to be unstoppable is the New Jersey Devils. You add to Foley to already that young, explosive offense, and I don't know. This is going to be a team that can go really deep this season. So they're a team I'm looking at a lot for this upcoming one.
I know. I was wondering if there were going to be a flash in the pan or keep the pedal to the metal, and I'm thinking they're going to keep the pedal to the metal. I mean, I've been watching Sports Grid with you on there. I could sit here and ask you NASCAR questions, college football, as you say. Let me ask you this. Who's the best team, college team in Florida, the Miami Hurricanes or Florida State Seminoles? It's a topic of considerable debate down here.
Yeah, that's a huge debate. I don't know. I'd have to go with the Hurricanes, I think. I really do look at this team, and I think they're the more complete team. I trust their defense a lot more. And for me, it's always, I look at those defenses, and that's where I start with my handicapping, because yes, you can have the flashiest quarterback. Well, if you've got this defense out there and you've got an offense that can move the ball, but this defense shuts them down week in and week out, those are the teams that I'm really interested in seeing getting out there in those games. So excited for that. The Buckeyes play tomorrow against Western Kentucky. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. So I'm excited for that. I'm a Buckeyes fan. Can they cover that spread? They're like 23 points. Doubtful. They've also got Notre Dame on deck. That team completely stacked with Sam Howell. We look at Western Kentucky that they're facing tonight. Well, that team is going to be the strongest team offensively with the passing game that Ohio State has played. So not covering that spread tomorrow.
How disappointing and devastating. No, how devastating was Alabama's home loss to Texas last week? I'm a Crimson Tide fan. That was not good.
Is not good, not at all. But Texas was in a total look-ahead situation. You look at their game the prior week. I believe it was versus Rice. I might have my games mixed up, but they didn't cover that spread. Yeah. So they came out, they didn't cover that spread because they were in a look-ahead situation. Texas was 100% focused on that game with Alabama. They came out so strong in it, and Alabama made a couple mistakes, and that's what it came down to. There was mistakes by Alabama. Texas was able to capitalize, and they were able to get that win. So looking at these huge games and looking at the games prior to those and the games after for those letdown spots. So I don't have Texas circled for this week, probably because in my mind, it's a letdown spot after that huge win versus Alabama.
Fascinating what you do. Joe, thanks. We'll let you get back to work. Thanks for the time today.
Have a good one. Thanks so much.
You too. Joe Madden of Sports Grid TV, and we'll keep the fun rolling. Andy McNamara joins us next, host of the Browns podcast and sports betting expert. It's a Football Friday, live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues on a Football Friday, just keeping the fun rolling. We've got sports betting questions that actually came in for our last guest, Joe Madden. I'm going to put them to our next guest, Andy McNamara. We told you what he does just before we went to the break, so we'll bring him in now. Hey, Andy, good to see you. We'll just keep the fun rolling.
Yes.
I'd say you're, in a way, you got so much stuff going on. What are you putting on your bio these days?
Yeah, there's not enough room, Rod. Yeah. So we got for NFL season every Sunday live, 10 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. We get you the live fantasy football start sits, all the betting info you need heading up to kickoff. Tuesday show as well. So that's on Twitter at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. And then also, hey, a lot on the horse racing side. New global horse racing platform called Railbird's betting platform that I'm working with under the Woodbine umbrella. So we're expanding that as that ramps up. So lots going on.
Okay, cool. I wanted to just give you that opportunity. So Kent is watching in Nashville, and he had a question for Joe. I'm going to throw it to you. He says,
Sure.
Thoughts on the Titans-Chargers game. Is it a pickup or the Chargers game to lose? They are favored by 3 going into Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, this feels like a little bit of a trap game if you're going to bet on it, because the Chargers don't necessarily travel all that well, traditionally coming from the West Coast. And the Titans, while Tannehill certainly didn't look good, they're always a tough out. They're well coached, right? It's variable. It's under that Belichick tree. They're always going to be good defensively. And if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get punked. And you got Austin Eckler not 100%. The play calling is in-game decision-making is still questionable. I still have the Chargers winning it, but it would not shock me at all if the Titans pull it out. So essentially what I'm saying is if you don't have to bet on this game, maybe go in a different direction.
Okay, fair. I like it. Joe Madden told me I'm supposed to ask you about Jandy.
Yes.
What's the story?
So I had Joe on my show, Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara last year. We're going to have her on again real soon. This week didn't work out, but we had such a great time together. We had so much fun, and the fans, the listeners were interacting so well. We said we need a team name, so we had Team Jandy, Joe and Andy, Team Jandy. And I'm sure it trended worldwide. I'm sure, Rod, somewhere. And, so that's probably. And so that's the Jandy story. So I'm excited to reuniting Team Jandy soon.
Well, listen, I live under a rock. I'm as detached as it can be. So if I've heard of it, everybody's heard of it.
Yes.
So, hey, what is your assessment of the Browns just eviscerating the Bengals last week? Fluke or not? And what do they got? They got the Steelers this week, right? At Heinz Field. So take weeks 1 to 2. Take me through your view of the Browns.
Yeah, well, I love your shirt coloring, by the way. You're wearing the right color, Rod. You're looking good there. We got the Browns orange, right? So, hey, you know what? It was a weird weather game that both teams didn't really prepare for. It was and it wasn't a storm, but they said the way the ball was handled, the mist, the wet, they said it actually was tougher to handle than in a snowstorm, just because of how the weather came in unexpectedly. So you saw both quarterbacks not throwing well, slippage and all that. And then, boy, man, Joe Burrow didn't look right to me. There was, before the game, he was practicing and his foot slipped and he checked his calf and he looked a little nervous and tentative after that. And I don't think he ever got fully right. I'll say this, that Browns defense is legit. The reason being, you have Jim Schwartz, who's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles and has done it forever. You have Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, who before he got injured last year was leading the NFL in sacks, opposite sides. But what the difference is here is you have them interacting across the line. Myles Garrett, I don't know if you guys saw the meme video was going viral, but he was doing like basketball mock crossovers over the center of the Bengals and then rushed and got to Burrow. Like, the defense is totally legit. So what does that mean? Well, it means you go into Pittsburgh against Kenny Pickett, and people can say what they want about Kenny Pickett. I'm not buying that he's anything more than a Mac Jones on a good day. That guy is average as anything. I can find you a Kenny Pickett, Rod, in the draft every year in the 3rd round. There's no special athletic trait about Kenny Pickett at all. He doesn't throw touchdowns. That offense is weak. You're missing Deontay Johnson now. And on that defense, you're without Cam Hayward. The big weapon is TJ Watt on Pittsburgh. If TJ Watt, who's probably going to be lining up against rookie right tackle for the Browns, Dawan Jones, who's a legit 6'8" guy, he's like a fridge with a 7-foot wingspan, that's going to be a key matchup. If the Browns can contain TJ Watt, I think they win this game.
I gotcha. I had a coach talk to me the other day about not only was Joe Burrow under 100 yards passing, but a lot of winning quarterbacks were under 200 yards passing in week 1.
Weird.
Why do you think that was?
It was such a weird week for quarterbacks, right? And just overall situations. I think a lot of it comes down to that we just don't see these players play a lot in the preseason. And it's taking, and we've seen this the last few years, right? Once week 4 hits, then you truly start seeing how teams are going to go. It's like they need that ramp up time. And no coach wants to be the bozo who plays this guy in the preseason and his knee gets torn up. So you have that sort of, well, we're not playing them. They're healthy, but we're not at full play speed. So you have kind of that combo. So that's what I think. It's going to take a few weeks for guys to hit their stride.
You know, it's interesting, too. The media in the States just a different animal than Canada. Other than the Leafs media is pretty tough on their team too. Yeah. But I just laugh at the Eagles. What they win? The Eagles won by 5 at the Patriots in week 1, and then they took out the Vikings last night. But in Philly, they're all over the Eagles for how boring and bad they were in week 1. And Jalen Hurts caught fire last night in week 2. Do you how much media coverage do you follow with regards to your fantasy coverage and tidbits, or do you follow it at all?
Yeah, first of all, the Eagles, you're winning ball games, okay? What do you want to be, the Chiefs who got punked by the Lions week 1? No, you're winning ball games.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, it's whatever it takes to win. Same with Deshaun Watson last week with the Browns. Was it pretty? No. But the defense and special teams did their job, and you got the drive done to score the points when you needed to. You just win until you hit your stride. As far as media go, yes. And that's why, Rod, for fantasy football players, I advise whatever star players that you have on your fantasy team, follow the beat reporters. Not the national. National guys are great, of course, but the beat reporters for your team, because that's where you're going to find out stuff about, like I heard from my Browns guys of, hey, we just saw Joe Burrow slip on the field for his calf. Well, that sends off alarm bells to me. Maybe Joe Burrow's not going to have a great game. I might not be able to do anything about it, but maybe I can adjust a receiver out. Maybe I can make a move here or there. Maybe for my DFS lineup, I'm not going to play Joe Burrow today, for example. So follow the beat reporters for your fantasy players.
Great tip there. And lastly, Arlen Bruce watching. He says, I have my Chiefs taking an L this week against the Jaguars. I've never went against my squad, but something's missing right now in week 2. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that seems like a bit of a trap game. And if you look at it, the Chiefs are only 3-point favorites. That's Vegas trying to tell us something, Rod. I think that's Vegas trying to, listen, no one's fearful of going into Jacksonville to play like you are with Kansas City or Seattle, right? That's not a hostile environment. But you have a Jaguars team who are still ascending. You have Trevor Lawrence with Calvin Ridley. And I was telling everybody, get as many Calvin Ridley fantasy shares as you could in your drafts, and it proved correct right away. This team is ascending. They've hitting their stride now. All the stink from Urban Meyer's been washed away from last year. And now you got, for Doug Pedersen deprogramming him last year. I would not be surprised if the Jaguars win this ball game. I still think if I was going to bet on this game, which I don't think I will, I would probably go with the Jaguars just because I think the value is a little bit there. And just for a straight up, you know what? How about this? Don't go with the spread because it's 3. If you think the Jags are going to win, plus 136 for Jags to win straight up. I think that's where the value is. So if you're going to put something down, don't go on the spread. Go on the straight up win by Jacksonville.
It's going to be a fun week 2. We'll see if things straighten out. Great chat, Andy. Yeah. Thanks so much for helping us out. Enjoy the ball.
Yes, anytime. Talk to you soon.
Sports betting expert Andy McNamara joining us. From the audience, Randy in Winnipeg says the Eagles' running game was awesome. 5, 6, 7 yards every run. And Allie in Texas says, I agree with him. The beat reporters are so good. It is audience takeover coming up in overtime and our final sports update of the day for Common Crown Brewing. It's a Football Friday on Game Plus Television, WQEE, YouTube Live and podcast.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's overtime. Who isn't thinking hockey with a view like that? Overtime's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where fun and skill collide. It's an amusement park for hockey players. You've been hearing about it. Now's the weekend to go check it out. 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. It's only a few blocks from Common Crown Brewing. You might want to check them out, too. Tap room open noon to 8 p.m. They got the big screens on there. Check out Common Crown. But we're here to talk about Overtime Hockey Lanes. And just go, give them a follow on social media. Send me the video. I'd like to have a look at it. You can tag me in it. No problem there. Just don't DM me directly, right? But hockey's never far from our hearts here on the RP Show, and that's today's poll question, by the way. Will you follow the NHL rookie tournaments this weekend? I guessed before the show, it's for our friends at Key Auto Group. I guessed before the show that over 80% would say no, they're not. The poll right now on Twitter, 65% saying no, they're not following NHL rookie tournaments. You, Clark, what are they saying on YouTube there? Yeah, the vast majority saying no, they aren't. But I will say this, Chad writes in, he says, I was looking forward to the Blue Jackets game yesterday to watch my cousin play, but problems with the ice canceled the stream. Kent in Nashville says the Predators always have a good story coming out of rookie tourney. And Jared says, only this year, Bedard. So that's a yes. I take it as a yes from all them. Sports update on this Friday. New York Jets kicker Greg Zuerlein has a groin injury that could keep him out of the game Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. Jets coach Robert Saleh said Friday that this morning Zuerlein was hurt late in practice Thursday and wouldn't participate in the team's final full session before traveling to Dallas. Saleh said they're 50-50 on Zuerlein's chances to play. The NHL Players Association said Thursday its executive director and assistant executive director are in Columbus, Ohio, to investigate reports of Blue Jackets head coach Mike Babcock invading players' privacy. Babcock said Tuesday he had done nothing wrong by asking players to show him family photos from their phones, clarifying he was trying to get to know them. Our sports updates are brought to you by Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. 4 of those sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Go check them out. As I said earlier, their tap room is open noon to 8, Thursday to Saturday. Big beer fridge in there, big screen TVs. Take some buddies. I wouldn't suggest showing up alone. So now, with all that out of the way, audience takeover time. We got some good stuff here. Aside from the usual kudos, which I appreciate and I will get to, Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in and says, RP Show killed it for Football Friday. One last question. Argos versus Bombers in 2 weeks. Does the winning quarterback cement most outstanding player in your mind? And I should always add that it's Bomber Boy in Calgary. Bomber fan there. No, because it's subject to a vote, and it's far too subjective. What that game will tell you is who's the best team in the CFL. It doesn't cement any individual honors at that time, I don't think. Sure sounds like Chad Kelly's going to win MVP in the CFL this year, but Zach Calero's been pretty darn good, too. It's a great question, and I appreciate it, but that's my takeaway from that game, and Dave Naylor said as much when he was on the show yesterday. Ryan in upstate New York says, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy whichever sports you watch. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, have a great weekend, squad. Another great RP show, Football Friday. Ryan in Toronto, another great episode. I love this show. From Allie in Texas, she says, a great show as always, RP. Have a great weekend, all. Allie, appreciate you sticking through, even though you get enough football where you are. Gosh knows, right? Not a lot of hockey, but we do a Football Friday here, and it is entirely our crew. The second I start to think that it's me, we're going to be in big trouble. The guests today were fantastic. My guy Mick is watching in Toledo, Ohio right now. We're very big in Toledo. Did you know that? On the Buckeye cable system. All across Ohio, the Buckeye State. He wrote in a while back, but he says, it's been a while since we've talked, boys. Hope all is well. How does Moose like living in Toronto? Have a great weekend. Signed, Mick from the other TO. Toledo. Hashtag Cheap Seats Radio. He hosts the show on ESPN Radio, Cheap Seats, every Sunday morning there. Yeah, and I apologize. I didn't get to this when Moose was with us, but I can speak for you that he really enjoys it. The weather's a little warmer this time of year. He loves the variety of sports at his disposal. For a couple of prairie dogs, it's a big change. Like I'm looking at mine. Just last night, the Miami Hurricanes were home to Bethune-Cookman, big-time Atlantic Coast football. And I was thinking of going. Miami won 48-7. I said to Serena this morning, thank God I didn't go. It would have been a whitewash. But that's just last night. Alabama's taking on University of South Florida tomorrow. The Bucks kids playing in that game for South Florida. Reason to follow that game. So my point is Darren loves the sports up there. The chance to go to the Blue Jays. I hope we get him into the press box at Scotiabank Arena or whatever they're calling it now. What are they calling it now, Clark? Is it Scotiabank Arena now? Am I used to that now in Toronto? Yeah, it's Scotiabank Arena. What it used to be. Air Canada Center, right? He likes it. He likes it. Change is good. Thank you, Mick, for asking. It's been a big one. Enjoy the ball for all, y'all. And we'll see you Monday, noon Eastern, right here on Game Plus and WQEE Radio. Who has more fun than us?